Call to order the meeting of the commissioners of the Humboldt Bay Harbor Recreation and Conservation District at 6 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Newman,
Present.
Commissioner Dale,
Here.
Commissioner Benson,
Here.
Commissioner Norton, President Coleman.
Present. Please care to, would you like to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any report on closed session?
No reportable actions.
All right, then we'll move on to public comment. This portion of the agenda allows the public to speak to the board on the various issues not itemized on this agenda. A member of the public may also at this time request that a matter appearing on the consent calendar be pulled and discussed separately. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the board may not take any action on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to speak for a period of 3 minutes regarding each item on the agenda when it comes up. Each speaker is also limited to speak for a period of 3 minutes during the public comment portion of the agenda regarding items of special interest to the public that are not appearing on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. Does anyone care to make public comment tonight? All right. Then moving on to the consent calendar.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? All right, moving on to communications, reports, and correspondence received. Do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence received.
Do we have any reports?
You betcha. Mark, you're welcome to close that door if you're cold.
Okay.
Just please leave it unlocked.
Anybody else wanted?
I don't know. I'm just offering it just in case.
Thank you.
Okay, quick little report tonight, and then I'll present a little bit on an issue happening in and around Humboldt Bay. So obviously, we're working diligently. This is the entire office staff on the project reset, as well as our hired consultants for the heavy lift marine terminal. We've been working as a team on workplace culture and vision for how we want to move our entity forward. Excellent participation on that. We're currently recruiting a harbor maintenance worker. We're very active in the recruitment process. We had a veteran, 18-year veteran, retire, as I shared last period. I'm happy to let you know that we have found someone that we're quite interested in. I also want to thank Mindy for not only her effort on going out and posting the position, but also for managing all the applicants as well as participating in the interviews. Those of you that don't know, Mindy is our Director of Administrative Services, and she leads our HR department. We're also going to be posting the position we've talked considerably about in times past for a natural resources coordinator focusing on recreation and conservation. So you'll be seeing some flyers. We'll be sharing some things. That recruitment process beginning last week of the month. The Humboldt Fisheries Marketing Association, we've been working with them to support our fishers. Met with the Marketing Association president, one of the board members recently, and really talked in and about what they're doing, what the needs are of the fleet as a whole, and where the harbor district can get involved. Hours after meeting with them, they called and said, hey, we need a forklift. So we were able to lend them a forklift. And I just point this out because just a little bit of communication back and forth makes a remarkable difference. All it took was a little outreach, a little help, and now there's partnership growing. And that's what it's all about. We had our county 2x2 meeting recently. It's about a 2-hour meeting. We meet with a couple of commissioners, 2 supervisors, and our executive staff. Those are going very well. We continue to build a very strong and very positive relationship. And I believe our relationship is becoming reciprocal, which is very important. So I'm grateful that the county is a good partner with us. We can be a good partner with the county. Finally, Anna, who is Newman, who's the harbor master in Noyo Harbor, as well as leadership. Aspen from West Center came up and visited this past week. We met with Megan Kinney from North Coast Growers, Ashley Vellis of Ashley Seafood, as well as Lori Richmond from Cal Poly Humboldt. We had a number of people come in representing Sea Grant, I should say. We had a number of people come in from the community, both fishers, people that are marketing, restaurant owners, some people in education, workforce development, county economic development, and meet with us throughout the day, including a conclusion call at the end of the day with Sea Grant. And the program here was to talk about branding. When we go out and we buy beef, for example, it might say USDA on there, or USDA Choice or Prime. We would like to brand the premium fish that our fishers catch here in this region. Fish that's hand selected, hand graded, hand cut, and packaged for sale, especially with our initiative to do dockside market sales, both in the regional dockside market, which happens in our summer months, to as well as what happens in the local marinas, specifically Whidley Island, as Eureka Marina doesn't offer dockside sales. And we also talked about facility needs and what we need for refrigeration, for deep freeze, for ice, for processing, for cutting, for marketing. And we talked about neighborhood relationships, how all of us smaller harbors can work together and collectively. So really, hats off to them. This was really led by Anna, Ashley, and the West Center folks, as well as Megan at North Coast Growers. Of course, we need to thank Lori. Lori Richmond is steadfast. Lori Richmond, not only is she a professor at Cal Poly Humboldt, but she's really been somebody with her responsibilities at Sea Grant who stood far and above. And that was probably one of the best events we've had in a long time. There's a lot of positive that's come out of it. My voice doesn't share that. I'm sorry, but I'm emphatic. I'm excited. I'm happy. It was really good work. Senator Adam Schiff, his team was here today, trying to get him back up here. I think we need to get him out halibut fishing. He loved driving the fireboat. His staff mentioned on that today, but excited to get him back up here. And his team was here today, getting updates on the heavy lift marine terminal. I was also able to present to them on our local aquaculture community and the district's pre-permitting practice for subtidal, as well as our desire to pre-permit more area in the intertidal zone to the degree possible. I also had a discussion on flip culture. So I was very grateful for that visit. Finally, I'm leaving next week to attend Capitol Port State. This is where the California Association of Port Authorities has an event at the Center Club in Sacramento where we meet directly with our elected officials, our policy and legislation committees. We're also meeting with the gubernatorial candidates, as well as I get to host a panel with Assembly Member Chris Rogers, who certainly has been a big advocate for the work we're doing for the north part of the state. So it'll be an exciting day, really looking forward to it. So I reported to you at our last meeting on some unfortunate circumstances that have happened around Wadouche lagoons in the north part of our bay. For those of you who are not familiar with the area, this is in the far upper channel of Mad River Slough. The little town or housing that you see there, that's Seahorse Ranch. That is operated as Mad River Shellfish Nursery, and that is a nursery for Bill and Kim Rich that they've started, currently doing manila clams. The area just below that is the project area for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Project, and at the far south end of that is currently closed, but there's a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Preserve station there. You can see the channel. Recently, we had a levee breach, and I'm going to go through a few pictures here, and then I'm going to go back to some of them. But recently, we had a levee breach that allowed water to leave the slough and go into the lagoons, flood the lagoons, impounding water. Through high tides and some of the king tides, as well as winter weather, the water collected very quickly. And we had quite an issue there with road flooding, road washouts, as well as water quality issues related to turbidity and sediment that could be coming or constituents that would be coming out of the area that was impounded. Sorry, folks, I'm laboring to talk here. So looking at this in a little more context, we received a call from our shellfish growers and said, hey, that impounded water now, the dam isn't holding. In the top, or excuse me, in the left-hand picture over there, and this pointer or whatever, oh, it is working tonight. This is an aqua dam. So one of the solutions to replace this levee, because it's too wet to get in there to work, was to put an aqua dam in and stop this area from draining back into the slough. That didn't work. As tidal changes occurred, the dam would break free, water would be able to go, we'd impound further water. These pictures are relative of different circumstances at different points in time. And unfortunately, with our lighting in here, I'm afraid you can't see them as well as they are. But let's have a little bit of discussion about this. So we got a call at the end of the month of January, which was just a couple weeks ago, from our shellfish growers, quite concerned about the amount of impounded water and the fact that it was coming back into the areas where they have operations. They have nursery operations, they hold nursery product, they hold adult product. This affects more than one grower. And they asked the Harbor District, do you have any jurisdictional authority in these permits that were issued working with them? And what can we do to assist them? So we reached out to U.S. Fish and Wildlife on behalf of our culture community. And U.S. Fish and Wildlife Representative Connor Shea, who now works for GHD, was very responsive. I want to acknowledge his communication. Whether or not the communication, or the result, I should say, was to the satisfaction of all, the communication was present. And so it was clear that they wanted to remove the aqua dam, but we don't know what's in those waters. And what we were asking for them to do is let's secure that aqua dam. Let's make sure we put in the stakes and the ropes to put it in place. Let's test the water. We know this is former ag land. We're worried about fecal. We know there's a lot of organic matter that's there. There apparently is a large iron deposit in this area, so we had some very strong discoloration. Didn't know what it was at the time. There was also a fish kill in the impounded water. So our growers were simply saying, let's get this water tested. As a result of this, we dispatched SHN. Their staff went out and took water samples. And some of those samples, thank you, Todd Van Herp was willing to let us board his vessel and participate in this, were sent through the California Department of Public Health to the local health lab. We had a temporary precautionary closure in the bay for any shellfish harvesting. It was released a little later the next day. The bottom line is this continues today, and this is impacting our shellfish growers. The agencies are working on this, but we still continue to have challenges. Communication is happening with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, with their hired contractors, with their hired engineers. It's not, I believe, to the satisfaction of our growers. We have limited remedies we can do here. All we can do is communicate, be good stewards with our fellow agencies, the professionals that we work with, while we continue to advocate for our growers. I'm bringing this to your attention tonight, not because of the work the district's doing, because it is a very front and center issue for Humboldt Bay oyster. It's a very front and center issue for Mad River Shellfish Nursery. And I believe Scott Steiner's practice, I'm going blank on his business name, but that his shellfish operation may hold some product there as well. We also have, obviously, these waters coming down immediately into our main adult grow area in the bay. So this is continuing. I want to let you know we're putting some allocation of staff time into this and some district resources and some district finances to test water. We don't have all of the test results back. Unfortunately, despite working with a number of agencies, they've decided that it would be appropriate to pull out the dam. There was an agreement to wait a day for us. Thank you for that. Unfortunately, the day the dam was pulled out, things didn't go as planned, and this situation continues to go. So, a lot of moving pieces here. This is a 30,000-foot view. I'm not asking the board to take any action or for any direction tonight. This is just a for information only item. To let you know, we continue to work with our growers. Our growers may reach out to the district more and to commissioners for any support as this continues to unfold. That is my report for today.
Chris, can we ask some questions?
Sure.
About that?
I'll do my best to
Direction,
answer. I'm not a
apologies.
scientist, though.
Yeah, no,
Even with one hand.
but just some basic questions. Is there a certain point where the water reaches equilibrium where we won't have the flushing flows anymore that have erosive?
Well, that was the wish or the desire. Unfortunately, without a dam in there, we're going to continue to have potential for exchange.
Mhm.
The repair work needs to get in there and be done. There are also tide gates and screw gates and other things in there that I believe are in the process of being closed that allow inundation onto neighboring properties.
So what's the short-term solution and what's a midterm solution?
So we're looking to the agencies to conclude on that and to get the method in place necessary to have this not continue. And keep in mind, we have a fluctuating tidal season, so this can continue to happen, and we're not out of winter. We have some storms forecast for the coming days. I have not been on site for the better part of a week, which is frustrating, but my duties here just not allow that. I like to go out there and monitor.
And is
periodically.
access still impeded for people who need to get out there? Who live out there?
Not currently, but there was some flooding and some water coming onto one of the properties today.
Mhm.
That's outside of this particular, that has to do with the exchange, under the surface.
Please continue to keep us advised.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a big concern, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the update on that. I know I went out there also and after you informed me it happened.
Thank you.
It looked pretty dramatic. They had done a lot of work on repairing the road at least going out.
Mr. Van Herp is present. I'm in great constant communication with Todd and, rightfully so, they're quite concerned. Again, we're trying to figure out what we can do. I think right now we're standing with our shellfish growers and being the best advocate for them we can. There's a lot of communication that went on today, agency to agency communication, and we're going to continue to do that. We don't want to cast any shadow on any of the agencies. That's not what we're doing here. We're just simply acting as advocates.
I appreciate that. Thanks for, I think the commission would encourage you to continue to advocate and support in any way that we can.
Rob's away at IPF. That's a wind energy conference. So I just want to recognize him and thank him for going to New York City in this very cold weather and time of year. So it's in at midnight tonight. Tells me he's gonna be in the office first thing tomorrow. So I don't doubt that for a second.
Great. All right. Thank you. Doesn't look like we have a district council report, or a treasurer. We have an engineer report.
Again, just we did help support the sampling effort that went on with the levee breach. And to continue to do our stormwater inspections out at Fields Landing.
Thanks. And district planner report.
I do have a report tonight, just to go over a few of the permitting projects that we are working on, ongoing permitting projects, some of which may come back to the board for decision. So just kind of a review of what we're currently working on and processing. So for Harbor District permits that we're processing, we received an extension renewal application from Pacific Shellfish, formerly Coast Seafoods, for their intertidal operations that was originally approved in 2017. So they are requesting a 10-year renewal for that from the Harbor District and from the Coastal Commission, and with no changes to their current or authorized operations. So we just received that and are going to continue processing that one. For the Humboldt Bay Eelgrass Joint Mitigation Program, which is a Harbor District Caltrans program to look at eelgrass mitigation program at 3 different locations in Humboldt Bay. This admin permit is just for the sampling, kind of to characterize the sediments in the areas where there is proposed eelgrass mitigation. And so once the sampling is done, more of the design and documentation and permitting will come back eventually and go through all the agencies as well. For Humboldt Bay Oyster Co. Shellfish Farm, we are continuing to process their application for continued and expanded operations. And the initial study draft mitigated negative declaration did get released to the public for agency and public review. The review period is through March 4th. This is just some pictures from that and their operations, their flood sea, some clam rafts, and their rack and bag and proposed expansion areas in North Bay. And once we get the public review period closed, we'll review and respond to comments if necessary, and that permit will be coming back to the board for consideration in the next couple months, hopefully.
Vanessa, where can that ISMND be
Yes,
found?
that is both on the Harbor District's website in the public notices page of the Harbor District website. It's also available on Sequanet.
Thank you.
We are working on the subtitle mariculture pre-permitting renewal, both the Harbor District and the Coastal Commission CDP. And these are permits, pre-permitting project and permits that the Harbor District obtained in 2016. So now we're 10 years in and asking for another 10 years. Throughout in the past 5 years, I found the data. There have been approximately 6 growers that have leased sites, various sites in these areas to grow mostly kelp or sea lettuce and there were some flupsies and nursery operations as well in the various sites. So we are proposing a 10-year permit renewal for the Harbor District permit, and we'll be requesting the same from the Coastal Commission. And then other ongoing permitting, the district has an extension application in with the county for a CDP CUP for the interim uses at RMT2. So that is being processed by the county right now and is tentatively scheduled to go to County Planning Commission in March, and then continuing to work on regional Spartina CDP. And that is my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Some questions from
Thank you.
commissioners? Thank you all for all that hard work. Any commissioner reports? Open it up or call me.
Well, for about 2 weeks, crab season's been underway. I don't know if anybody saw my comments in the Times Standard recently, but it's not looking very good. I'm seeing it a little worse, but not much. So we're hoping there's going to be a salmon season this year. That's about all I have tonight. Been a long day.
Well, I actually bought some crab this last weekend and it was delicious. It was full, it was fat. And they taste good. May not be many of them, but they tasted good. I participated in the county 2x2 meeting. I thought that was very productive. And I think we have a very good relationship with the county and a good working relationship. So I'm proud of that. Other than that, I don't really have anything to report.
Thank you. Vincent?
Just a little bit of news, just still working with the Harbor District and the Sea Level Rise Institute in order to try to nail down a date for a sediment management conference or some kind of forum for that, in which the regional board would be involved and probably U.S. Army Corps and all the folks involved in post dredging sediment management. So that's something we're looking forward to. As a faculty at Cal Poly, where there's a CSU wide strike for the Teamsters that's happening on February 17th through 19th, and so the Teamsters are really a partner union with California Faculty Association. So we will, I personally will be, when I'm not teaching classes, I'll be out on the picket line supporting the Teamsters. So that'll be happening at all the CSUs statewide. That's all I got.
Yeah, I was at the last county 2x2 meeting at Commissioner Dell, and I felt like it was a productive meeting and that our ability to collaborate is continuing and improving. Before that, I was at last month, I guess there's the offshore oil symposium, forget what it was, workshop symposium conference, or that was held at the Wharfinger. I think everybody, all the different agencies or entities, I guess, that helped put that on, and elected officials that were there. And following that, Commissioner Newman and myself and Chris went down to King Salmon. We thought we were going down to help clean up some stuff, but we did get a chance to meet some people who were impacted by the floods there, and that was pretty eye-opening, the situation that had been going on there. So But that's all I have to report, so I'll move forward to the next item of business. Do we have a status update regarding the Humboldt Bay offshore wind heavy lift marine terminal project tonight?
We do.
Yeah.
So as everyone knows, we've been on a temporary pause. We lost our 2 federal grants back in end of last year or late summer. So for all intentional purposes, the project has been on hold. Staff has been working to reconfigure the budget with the state, adjusting scope and timelines with vendors or our consultants. And so we're planning to be back in action this month. In fact, there is an amended grant agreement in my hands. We just need to clarify some dates and our ability to achieve those dates so we can execute. So good news. And,
Good.
excellent work of staff to bring it to this point. Very grateful. Upcoming activities. This is a repeat of last time. Rob's asked though that we continue to make sure everybody knows what we're doing next. Nothing's changed. This is the same schedule we were going to be on all along. So we'll immediately get to work on these once we know that we have funding advances headed out our way. Finally, again, reminding about community benefits. These are positive project attributes and outcomes that benefit one or more sectors of the community. That these are investments, commitments, mitigations, activities, or obligations, enhancements that provide benefit. And probably really importantly is outcomes offset impacts. They share value and produce durable social, economic, environmental, and health improvements. And that's what we're doing there. We're cleaning up a dirty site and giving it a new life. Finding the value provided to affected communities, particularly those experiencing disproportionate burdens. And as everyone knows, we're working very directly with those immediately surrounding that project. Aquaculture, fisheries, and absolutely our tribal government. So it's just a reminder of the things that are being taken on there and what's being worked on right now. Again, Rob's away, but want to thank him for his service. It's cold in New York.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? I guess it's an agendized item, so anyone from the public wish to comment on the last item? And if not, let's get to the good stuff. We're receiving a special presentation from the Humboldt Waterkeeper team.
I thought we were moving this to the end of the agenda.
We need to liven this place up.
Yes, do it. Bring it on.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Cald, and this is.
Hi, I'm Sylvia.
Thank you, Minnie.
Thank you for turning the lights down a little bit. So thank you so much for inviting us, Chris, to talk to you about what we do instead of just coming and critiquing what you guys do all the time. Okay, so Humboldt Waterkeeper works to protect Humboldt Bay, the watershed, coastal resources, water quality, that sort of thing. We recently changed our name from Humboldt Baykeeper to better reflect the area that we actually work in. So this is a map of the pink line is the region we work in. So Humboldt Bay watershed, the coast from about the mouth of the Eel River to Big Lagoon. And then we do work in the Eel and Mad River watershed sometimes, mostly dealing with contaminated sites, working with some of our partner organizations there. And we have 3 programs, basically: Bay Tours and Community Outreach, Water Quality, and our Toxics program. And our Bay Tours program is mostly getting grant money to pay for getting community partner organizations and their members out onto the Bay. So we do that on the Mattakit. We charter the Mattakit, and we do that with the Humboldt Bay Aquatic Center, which I've been hearing some great news that it's getting revamped by the new president's team. So that's really good for everyone who likes to be able to rent kayaks or take sailing lessons or whatever. We also do coastal cleanups, and generally we have done this on Tuluwat with the Wiyat tribe's permission, and Hog Island Oyster Company comes out with a boat and a crew to help haul a lot of the trash away, and then they take it back to their place and put it in their dumpster so we don't have to pay for the trash. And Commissioner Coleman has joined us on a lot of these over the years. Um, our water quality program focuses on sampling water quality in various locations for various reasons. And on the left is a volunteer student intern who's sampling up in Janes Creek for bacteria, also known as fecal coliform or E. coli pollution and stormwater runoff. And we've been doing that for many, many years. And Commissioner Dale is well aware of all that work that we've done trying to help protect the waters that the oyster growers are growing their oysters in that we eat. So a lot of people don't realize the oyster farms have to shut down every time there's significant amounts of rain. So these past 2 winters, it's been something like 5 months straight each winter because of all the rain, which is coming from mostly from cattle, it turns out. We've done a bunch of studies, but the regional board has decided it's mostly deer and elk in the Arcata Bottom, so don't worry, it's fine. In fact, they just delisted Little River, but that's a whole nother story. So on the right is a picture of a member of the Wiyot tribe staff sampling for 6-PPDQ, which is a toxic tire chemical that has been in the news quite a bit because people have just discovered up in Puget Sound that it's extremely toxic to coho salmon. And you might recognize this as Jolly Giant Creek right behind the co-op. And so we are working on a joint report with the Wiyot tribe that we hope to put out soon with our findings. And it's, it's not as bad as Puget Sound, but it's not great. There's definitely problems for juvenile coho in particular. Contaminated sites are one of the main reasons Humboldt Baykeeper was formed, to work on cleaning up dioxin contamination at former lumber mills around the bay. In 2006, we got the bay listed for dioxins and furans, which come from a wood preservative that was banned in the late 1980s because of the dioxin contamination. So for many years, we've been working on collecting and mapping sites that are known or suspected to be contaminated with dioxins, and also dioxin sampling that's been done. And Sylvia will talk a little bit more about this, but a lot of the work we do is deep dives into the history of the sites to figure out what was done there. A lot of times people see a vacant lot in a city and they think, why isn't that developed? And it's usually because it's contaminated. And if there's no responsible party to clean it up, someone needs to come along who wants to pay the money to clean it up, just like the pulp mill, and redevelop it. So a lot of our work involves watchdogging the redevelopment of these sites to make sure that, it's not getting remobilized with ground disturbance. Another thing we have studied in our toxics program is mercury in fish and shellfish. We had two grants from California EPA to do sampling of mercury in the fish and shellfish that people are catching and eating in Humboldt Bay and in coastal waters off of our coast. And so what you see here is our list of recommendations for the best fish to eat. And you notice oysters are in the best choices category because they're filter feeders. They don't eat other animals. And wild Chinook salmon are great because they're short-lived. Basically, the smaller, younger fish you can pretty much be assured have less mercury in them. And you can find this on our website. You see at the bottom there, avoiding shark is generally a really good idea. Really big lingcod and some of the rock cod that are bottom feeders. The lingcod eat those guys, so they tend to be pretty loaded. So we did this study with the Wiyot tribe and with Ross Taylor Associates, and pretty proud of that study. And the state came out with fish consumption advisory for the first time for Humboldt Bay based on our study. So you'll see those. Well, you'll see those signs around, at the docks and stuff, but it's going to be updated soon. And the King Tides Photo Initiative, like you just heard a lot about, we've started this in 2011 to raise awareness about rising sea level, and we've been really waiting ever since 2011 for something like what happened in January to happen. And not that that was a great thing, but it was a record high tide. And we have a lot of volunteers who go out and take photos in all different spots. And if you want to get involved in that, there's a QR code up there where you can go on our website and find out how you can go and take photos and contribute them now to the Coastal Commission's website. And with that, I want to turn it over to Sylvia to talk about our sea level rise and contaminated sites database.
Thanks, Jen. So as I'm sure all of you already know, we are experiencing one of the fastest rates of sea level rise on the West Coast due to the tectonic subsidence of Humboldt Bay, which just means that Humboldt Bay is slowly sliding beneath the next tectonic plate. So this sea level rise also impacts groundwater. As the sea level rises, it pushes into shallow groundwater tables, and that results in all sorts of other impacts like impacting wells, farmland, contaminated sites, underground utilities, and even building foundations. Sea levels rising are also going to affect contaminated sites. This is a photo from the Schuster collection from Humboldt. It's of Humboldt Bay in the 1950s, and all of those smoke plumes are probably coming from conical burners associated with lumber mills. So we used to be very heavily industrialized, and as a result, there's a good amount of contamination from those industrial sites all around the bay, which means that there are a bunch of sites that are at risk of mobilizing contaminants into the bay. As Jen mentioned before, there was a chemical that used to be used to treat wood. It was banned for use on most lumber in 1987, but it's still used on utility poles today. That chemical is called pentachlorophenol. I'm going to say penta for the rest of the presentation, so I have to say that long chemical name. But penta also, it has a short half-life, and it contains other chemicals like dioxins. Dioxins are actually some of the longest lasting, most toxic chemicals ever made. And if you've heard of it before, it's probably because it was also used as an ingredient in Agent Orange. So this is a little map showing a contaminated site. The red is showing the parcel of the former Sierra Pacific mill in Manila, and then the blue on both is two different sea level rise scenarios. On the left, the light blue is showing 1 meter or about 3.3 feet of sea level rise, and on the right, the dark blue is showing 2 meters or about 6.6 feet of sea level rise. And we got this data from Jeff Anderson and his team at Northern Hydrology and Engineering, which is a local consulting firm. That data is publicly available on Cal Poly Humboldt's Sea Level Rise Institute's Digital Commons. So if you're interested in playing around with that data, it's there. And then the orange diamonds that you're seeing here on this map are locations of samples that were taken and tested for dioxins or penta. And Humboldt Waterkeeper has actually spent the last decade digitizing all of that data from various sampling reports. We're talking really long, multi-hundred-page documents where we're combing through, finding the maps, and then putting them onto this map into our database and also recording all of the sampling results. And we've done that so that we could see where the sampling gaps are, and it helps us advocate for cleanup and redevelopment of sites that have this contamination. So if you don't want to have to go and download all of just data and figure out how to work that in a GIS system, I made a map for you to make it all that much easier. If you're watching from at home or in the room and you want to scan this QR code with your phone, you can follow along with me. Otherwise, you can find the link to this map on our website. I'm going to pull it up right now and give you guys a live tour of a web map. Let's see. All right, so when you open the map, it's going to look like this. You're going to see all of Humboldt Bay. You've got a lot of little tools. Don't be overwhelmed. I promise it's easy. If you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can use that to zoom in and out. You can also use the buttons over here. There's a plus and minus symbol. So right now we're seeing those same two layers that I showed on that map a second ago, and you're seeing the legend on the left here. So that darker color blue is 2 meters of sea level rise, and the lighter is 1 meter of sea level rise. Let's say you don't want to look at 2 meters, you only want to see 1 meter. You go to this cute little stack of squares called layers. And you just turn off 2 meters with this little eye icon. And now you're only looking at 1 meter. Let's say, well, Sylvia, I know where my house is and I know how to get there, but I don't know how to find it on this map. That's fine. You don't need to know that. You just use this little search icon, brings up this really nice search bar, and you just type in, I'm going to take us to the Samoa Cookhouse because it's easy. And this keyboard didn't want to connect properly. Oh, almost there. Okay, well, I'm going to go to Samoa Boulevard. There we go. Takes you to wherever you just entered. It zooms all the way in. That way you don't have to do all that panning, clicking around. Then you can just zoom out and check out how sea level rise is going to affect that particular place. Another handy feature is bookmarks. It is exactly what it sounds like, but instead of book form, it's in map form. So I've loaded all of these in. If you want to go to King Salmon, but you don't want to click and drag the map around, you just click on the bookmark and it takes you right over there and reloads the map. And now we're looking at how 1 meter of sea level rise would impact king salmon. We could look at Eureka. If you notice, all of these areas on the west side of Eureka that used to be a part of the bay before it was filled in and added to Eureka, they're eventually going to be reclaimed by Humboldt Bay. Oh, and the last thing I want to show you guys is that you do not have to have an ArcGIS Online account to use these maps. If you look up there at the screen, it says sign in the top right corner. So I'm using this right now without signing in. You don't need an account. It's completely free to use. We are paying to host the data. If you want to print this map, say you want to show your landlord, hey, should we be worried that sea level rise is going to be this close to my door in however many years? You can print in quotes, because what you'll be doing is essentially telling this online map to take a little snapshot and then create a PDF or a JPEG or whatever you would like. Super handy for sharing this information with others. And that's our sea level rise viewer. Next, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Humboldt Bay Water Trails map. So Redwood Community Action Agency put this map out a while ago. It is by a couple of the boat ramps on like a nice big sign. I went ahead and digitized the whole thing, which means that I went into my software and I hand drew all of these things, except for a few of the pieces of data that I added from NOAA. So there's some super accurate tidal mudflat data and channel depths as well. This is accessible in PDF and web map form, which I'll talk about more in a second. But I did want to note that there are high and low tide trails on here. So the high tide trails are these turquoise squares that are all in a line. And then the low tide trails are these orange dots. You'll also see that, of course, you can access those during high tide. And then here's the bottom half of the map. So it does cover all of Humboldt Bay, north and south. If you get the PDF version, you get to do the fun thing of zooming back and forth between the legend and all the little dots. Both the PDF and web versions are available through Humboldt Waterkeeper's website. We have a nice little blog post about it where you can download a geo-referenced PDF, which means that you can use it in a mobile application like Avenza on your phone, which means that you can turn on your GPS and then open the map and see exactly where you are on the map, as long as you're actually on the map. And again, if you're watching from home or in the room and you would like to pull out your phone and follow along, there's a QR code on the screen. And you can also do live location tracking in the web browser if you open it on your phone and you turn on your GPS services, and then you just give your web browser permission to do that. You can do the same thing, no downloads necessary, as long as you have cell service or Wi-Fi access, you'll be able to use this on your phone. If you download the geo-referenced PDF, you don't have to have cell service and you can still use your GPS location on it. So the nice thing about the web map is that you can pan and zoom around. You don't have to flip back and forth between a legend. The legend is right here. When you want to find out more information about one of these points, you just click on it. So I'm going to click on the square that says number 3. And a pop-up will show and tell you all about the Samoa Bridge boat ramp. It'll give you a warning about checking the tide info, and then it gives you a nice description about maybe how to get there or other things that you need to consider before going out there. And the thing that I love about web maps is that it's not just the dots that are clickable, it's everything that I have added to this map. So if it's not part of the base map, if it's in the legend, you can probably click on it. Like, what are these hatched lines, Sylvia? Well, first of all, I would point you to the legend. They're oyster beds. Second, you click on it, and why do I care that it's on this map? Well, because you need to watch out for gear. If you're going to paddle over these, don't paddle into a buoy, essentially, is what we're trying to tell you there. But there's other things on the map, like, what's this big red blob? Well, it's a hazard area, and it's an area you should be careful. So we're trying to communicate all the hazards that the original static map communicated, but in a more seamless way. If you like satellite imagery and you would prefer to be looking at satellite imagery underneath all of this, all you got to do is click on base map. And then you have all these base map options, one of which is satellite imagery. Anytime you want to access these maps, you just go to our website and either download the georeference PDF or navigate to the web map. And that's all I got for you. Any questions about the maps? No? Okay. Yes?
I question comment, but I love the water trail map. I've seen the signs and the brochures. They should have a disclaimer on them. I've made this comment before about people, if they do get stuck in the mud, to be careful walking in the mud, because people get stuck in the mud all the time, and it should be on that map.
I think this one says don't get stuck in the muck, and it has information about the mud flats and not
People
getting
still get out of their kayaks, out of their boats, and they try to push the boat, or they get stuck. It happens all the time, and they get rescued frequently.
If you want to supply me with some like phone
The
number
only person I'd like to see
information,
get out and walk in the mud is my fellow commissioner.
I'm walking the mud across most of the bay. So
Yeah.
I'd be happy to add that information.
Yeah, the great thing about this being a web map is
Yeah.
she can add that tomorrow and then it'll be on there and we don't have to change any of the links. We don't have to change the signs. But what we do need to do is get some QR code stickers and put them around on those signs.
Yeah.
Because RCAA made those static maps that, they printed and, for me, this is great because I don't know where a lot of the channels are, but one time I paddleboarded with my crazy friend from Mad River Slough Bridge. We were like, let's go to Woodley Island the whole way. And, we're trying to use a Google image, map on our phone, but that doesn't show you where the channels are. So we almost got stuck, but not quite. But anyway, it's great because you can see the channel depths and everything. It's really fantastic. So I just want to say how great it is having Sylvie on board, having a GIS analyst. And something I didn't say is that we're a member of the International Waterkeeper Alliance, and they have provided the ESRI license for us. And so it's just fantastic being able to do all these kinds of things. We're also a member of a California network called Coastkeeper Alliance, which works on our behalf in Sacramento. So, and then lastly, just want to say, if you want to get on our email list, you can contact us directly or check out the website, get on our email list for occasional emails and action alerts and stuff. Thanks so much for having us.
Nice maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. Yeah, so first of all, as someone who worked for RCA for 11 years, it's lovely to see that that water trails map, see the new iteration of it, and it's way better than it ever was, and that it's electronic, but it also just, there's two things that it makes me think of. Like, one is just this collaboration that happens around Humboldt Bay from nonprofit to nonprofit, from public agencies, and that there's this sort of changing of the guard on things sometimes, and it's important. And also, I just want to sort of bring up, like, 10 years from now, that great map that you've created, Sylvia. What I've noticed. I've been around long enough now to see Chris, see certain kinds of maps, sort of like the platform changes. Our technology is changing so fast that there's this big challenge to keep keep it up. And then if, grant money's run out or a specific staff person goes away in our local nonprofits that are just so, the staff is just so, bare minimum. And it's kind of a challenge to keep these things going and updated over the generations. And maybe that's not necessarily always the goal, but it's just amazing. It's just a comment on our technology today, how often it changes and how quickly something that was really great 5 years ago is now already becoming a relic and the platforms no longer work, et cetera. But the main thing I wanted to say, and I'm just going to read it for the public who might be listening, and it's just how we summarize who you are as the Humboldt Waterkeepers. The Humboldt Waterkeepers is a strong and reliable contributor to the Harbor District. It works to safeguard our coastal resources for the health, enjoyment, and economic strength of Humboldt Bay community through education, scientific research, and enforcement of laws to fight pollution. And your presentation just brought all that, really to light. And thank you for being who you are. And we so appreciate you. Even when you come to give us a hard time, we usually need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benson. Anything from the
I just want to say thank you for doing what you do.
anyone from the public care to comment or have any questions?
Eat 7 servings
I
of
know, I was looking,
shellfish a week.
I'm not eating enough turkey.
12 pounds in the grayer.
It was heartbreaking. Throw away that 25-pound lingcod and hope for a 10-pounder. And did you see those maps? Redwood Curtain Brewery, gone. I'm not gonna get over that for a little while.
Oops, sorry. Sorry, Mindy. Yes, I think.
Oh, okay, yes.
Sorry about that.
The offshore wind terminal, but the cookhouse is being alone.
All right, well, yeah, thank you again. Thanks for all that you do. It's been great, like ever since I've been involved in the Bay, being involved with Baykeeper, Waterkeeper, and some former and others. And I really appreciate your work. So it looks like moving on to the next item, review and confirm board advisory committees.
So you have standing advisory committees right now. We do have some that we don't currently have called that we will need to be calling. So this is a snapshot in your packet as to what we have standing in the Aquaculture and Commercial Fishing Advisory Committee. Commissioner Dale and Commissioner Newman. Staff would ask that that remain. The Bar Pilot and Port Navigation Advisory Committee is also Commissioner Dale and Newman, and staff would ask that that remain. The Budget Fiscal Advisory Committee, which is ad hoc, is Benson and Norton. We would ask, let me just say now, all these remain, and we're going to ask you to add some. They're working well. The Community Advisory Committee is Benson and Coleman. The Dredging Advisory Committee is Commissioner Benson and Commissioner Dale. The Humboldt Bay Development Association is Commissioner Newman and Commissioner Norton. Staff will be bringing some recommendations about the Development Association in the coming couple of months. The SMOPAN is Infrastructure and Offshore Wind Advisory Committee is Commissioner Dale and Commissioner Coleman. A very long-standing committee. And our 2x2 committee with the County of Humboldt is Dale and Coleman. We need to call a Labor Relations Committee. We will be negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement. It's been recommended that Commissioner Dale and Commissioner Newman serve on that committee if they're so willing. And Chair, that you would support that because these are at your appointment.
So the Labor Relations Committee, you said Dale and Newman, or did you?
We're recommending Dale and Newman,
okay.
And we haven't asked them.
Okay. Well, we all need to ask them. So, as I recall, these are just at the direction of the board president. It doesn't take
That is correct.
action, but I will, anybody have anything to say about, these committee appointments? Anybody want to swap or change or? Isn't this time like we can throw, Jack on a few more?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think this seems to be working. And so for the Labor Relations Committee, I know I've served on that in the past, but Commissioners Dale and Newman, are you willing to serve on that one?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. And I guess there's a regular item, so any comments from the public on any of these committees or appointments?
I have a quick question.
I said public.
Well,
Go,
I
go on.
borderline of public.
You're
member.
borderline, please.
Yeah, borderline, sure. We are gonna be talking about our relationship with REDAC as well. REDAC is not on this committee.
It's not a subcommittee, right? Yeah, I
No,
was
that's
wondering that
correct.
same thing.
Okay.
The
But are we
board
gonna-
chooses a representative.
Okay.
Which is currently Commissioner Dale.
Yeah.
And he has, well, I won't speak for him, thank you.
And is that, are we gonna talk about that appointment on the redeck?
Not necessarily in tonight's agenda, you certainly have that opportunity.
If you'd like to discuss that, because that's currently Commissioner Dale and I'm the alternate.
Yeah, I just think I've been on there a long time. And it's a great organization. And I missed Chris's talk the other night. I apologize for that.
My eyelids.
Through your eyelids. I made fun of Chris because he talked so much. But I think it's, I think it's fair that somebody else get to do that too and be a part of that. Because it's a very interesting organization and a group of people that I think we benefit from. I certainly benefit from.
Can we handle that on the same item?
I think probably what we can do is we can go ahead and approve what's before us. You could make that appointment. If I'm not mistaken, REDAC actually would reach out to us and ask for appointments. So I'd like to counsel with Craig Foster for that change.
Well, I'd have to resign,
Right.
but I'm not going to resign unless somebody's going to take it over. If somebody's not going to take it over, I'll keep
Right.
doing it.
So if the
And
board
on
wanted
the
to,
side, as the alternate, I'm not looking for that. I think, again, redeck does great work. Every time I've gone to a meeting, they're always very interesting, but I do not feel like I have the capacity. And I'll say, if anybody else wants to be alternate, Greg usually calls you 5 minutes before the meeting starts and asks if you can fill in for them.
Only if I can't be there 5 minutes in. Look,
All right, so going back to the public on these board commissions and subcommittee and advisory committee and ad hoc, I know we have to call them the right things. But seeing no comments, we'll exercise what little authority I have and just say that these are my appointments then.
great. You.
So we'll move on to the next item and consider adopting ordinance number 21, an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of the Humboldt Bay Harbor Recreation and Conservation District relating to the prohibition, storage, and handling of offshore produced oil on district-owned property. And before we move on, I'd like to say that there has been some communication with the county. And so I'm going to suggest that we continue this item to a to be determined meeting. And that we direct staff to work with the county to support their efforts. I think there look like there's some legitimate reason why we need to coordinate efforts
Yes.
on this for some planning. But I think because this item is before us on the agenda, if anybody would like to comment on or discuss the content of this ordinance or anything else, because it will hopefully, and I will do what I can to make sure that hopefully happens, come back to us at some future date. So,
Couple of points of order. We'll need a motion to continue the item
okay,
to a date to be determined. And just to point out, the county is working on a onshore facilities ordinance that would limit these activities. And it'll then be certified by the Coastal Commission and ultimately become embedded in the local coastal plan as zoning. So we don't want to do anything that would project or that would pierce that. And so the recommendation is that we would continue the item to a date to be determined, but we would need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion that we take this consideration of adopting ordinance number 21 to a future date to be determined.
I'll second.
Okay,
Should have all the discussion.
All right,
Pass the
so
motion.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion either on the motion or on the ordinance before us?
Yeah, just for the general public, so that there's a real clear understanding about whether we're disallowing or trying to prohibit any kind of petroleum product to be on any dock, wharf, or district-owned property. We're really talking about offshore oil or produced oil that we would expect to come from federal offshore drilling. Is this really specifically, is this almost a protest for offshore drilling in California? Like, I just want to make sure that I understand it and that the public understands what's being proposed here.
Well, my understanding of this ordinance as it's written, and I had some suggestions and Chris and I had talked about some alterations I wanted to make to the ordinance, but now as it's written, it's in reaction to announcements to open federal waters to offshore oil drilling, which the Harbor District has no jurisdiction over, but we do have jurisdiction over activities within the bay, and then of course on district-owned property. And so this ordinance prohibits the storage and movement of oil related to offshore oil on our properties. I was also recommending that it includes any activities that are intended to support the offshore oil industry and to facilitate offshore oil expansion off our coast. And so not just the storage of oil, but the facilitation of moving parts and everything. I think there's some thought to put into that, like, if there's actually decommissioning of offshore oil stuff, maybe we would want to participate in getting those things out of the water. I don't know, but crafting that correctly, and I think we'll have time to look at that. So I'm just saying, I think it could be expanded beyond just the storage of oil, but it won't impact, for example, the Chevron dock, where people don't know, most of the fuel that's used in cars in Humboldt County comes in and out through the Chevron dock.
Staff understands that we would be adding things such as anything related to the construction of general operations and maintenance, and any ferrying facilities to and from it. As some of the items that listed more specifically.
We'll come out to the public in just a second.
And also to consider the inclusion of natural gas, since that's a key component of what was being considered in our general area and is known to be present off our shore as well as onshore.
Thank you. But again, we are continuing it. So does that answer?
Well, what I'm walking away with, what I'm hearing is that it's really anything related to the development of offshore drilling and the various products, rather than any of the products that are already being used here and that are necessary for the kinds of businesses that and municipalities that operate around the bay. So we're not cutting ourselves off at the knees in terms of things that already exist on site or need to exist on site.
That is my understanding of the
Okay.
intention of the ordinance as well.
All right.
All right, any comments from the public?
Todd Ranky Marine. I am the shipyard in Fields Landing. Be that said, we are owned by the Harbor District, state of California. It was pretty clear, but I just want to make sure we understand that. I mean, I haul boats, I haul ships. That's what we do. That means we are storing fluids. We are storing oils. We are, by nature of what we do. Is this going to be impacting my business? I mean, I get it. It's offshore. I understand what the main concern is, but sometimes we sneak things in that, all of a sudden now I can't have any oil on my property, or I can't have any fuel. Well, how do we, just clarity on this. Do we drain Aaron's boat or the Harbor District's boat, which we have now in our property. So
And
Just concerned.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let you finish. And
No, I'm done. That was just that. Thank you.
the intention of the ordinance, and I think it's been reviewed by legal counsel, is not to impact any businesses and business activities such as that. It is solely intended to prevent Harbor District property, and especially considering like the construction and planning that we have for development of a heavy lift marine terminal, to prevent that from being used in the future to support the development of offshore wind off our coast. So it's not meant to prohibit activities that are happening with your business or businesses that might need to store certain amounts of fuel. Thank you. On the site.
The ordinance, so identify us.
Jen Colt, Humboldt Waterkeeper. So first I want to say thank you for bringing this forward. This is fantastic. I also want to thank you for, postponing it to coordinate with the county. Because, making it clear that it's onshore support facilities for offshore oil and gas is really important, but also because the county has land use jurisdiction over Harbor District property. So, when this was first proposed, I started talking with people in the rest of the state who are working on offshore oil drilling issues and have been for 40 years, and discovered in 1988, the voters of Humboldt County adopted Measure B. 68% of the voters of Humboldt County said, yes, we want to require that there be a vote of the people to approve any onshore support facilities for offshore oil and gas drilling. And that's because at that time, lease area 91 was being proposed right off of Humboldt Bay, and it was for natural gas. So my recommendations are to emphasize natural gas more in this ordinance, especially in the definitions, because that's what we know to be offshore here in the Eel River Canyon. And another thing that has come up since 1988 is deep sea mining, and that is being proposed now in Alaska. And there have been some deposits of, I forget if it's cobalt or whatever it is, off the coast in southern Humboldt. And so you might consider adding that. Any kind of processing of deep sea mining, which, kind of triggered for me the memory of, remember the people who wanted to bring gold ore here to process from British Columbia, and what a terrible chemical, it's a what do you want to call it? Huh?
Cyanide leaching.
Yeah, it would have been using cyanide and mercury. I mean, it's just an accident waiting to happen, just like offshore oil and natural gas. But, Humboldt Waterkeeper was formed in response to a liquefied natural gas import facility that was proposed at the Eureka Municipal Airport on the Samoa Peninsula. And so at that time in 2003, we got a real lesson in the dangers of natural gas. And, a lot of it is explosions. A lot of the dangers from storage and handling of natural gas have to do with air pollution, VOCs, contaminating the air. But the explosions are really, obviously deadly. And when that was all going on, there was an explosion at an LNG facility in Japan that killed 38 people. And so the thought of having that anywhere near the bay is would be terrible for people who live nearby, let alone the workers and stuff. So I look forward to seeing what you come back with. And you might want to also look at the city of Trinidad's code, because they actually adopted the same the same language as Measure B back in 1988, and they put it into their city code back then and into their local coastal program. So I can leave this with you if you want. So thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, anything else from the public on this matter? All right, well, thank you, everyone. Yeah, I meant at the beginning to just today, probably a lot of people heard the news that the federal government ended moved to end the endangerment clause in the EPA, which gave the EPA the power to regulate greenhouse gases as a pollutant. And so I think it's even more imperative that we act because we're obviously not getting support from the federal government on this type of thing or caring about the long-term health of our species. The world's not ending, it's just our inhabitants of it, maybe. So with that, we had a motion and a second to continue this item. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes. Bringing us back. To preliminary review and discussion to amend and fully restate ordinance number 9.
Yeah, so district staff is going through our ordinances as we've shared in prior meetings. This year, we want to start with district ordinance number 9, which establishes the rules and regulations in regard to the island marina, as well as our enforcement procedures. So staff is working and fully intends to work additionally with tenants, our wildlife committee, because we have a large wildlife preserve here on the island, recreation community, various users of the island, and also neighbors. Because activities that we partake here could have an effect. Our neighbors across the water, our neighbors on Tulawan Island, residences and road systems in and around here. So really, this is coming forward just to let you know we're working on this. If you wanted to establish a board advisory committee, as we just did moments ago for other actions, staff would be amenable to that. We do have people here on the island who are liveaboards who we've been engaging with briefly just to say, hey, things are coming our way. But that would be the first step for us is to contact our liveaboard community and see, they'll meet with staff. We do have some fisheries folks who've already reached out and said, hey, we'd like to meet with you. I've been talked with Aaron Newman recently about meetings with the Fisheries Market Association, which I believe you're a board member, right? And so this is really the beginning of this. Not here to talk topics tonight, just to let the board know this is happening. And if the board wishes to provide any direction to staff for the manner in which we work through this. This is a modernization. So what we will do is we will amend and fully restate the ordinance as if it's a new ordinance. Many of our ordinances have been amended time and time and time again. It's very difficult to interpret them. What we meant to pull out, what we meant to add, and what the subject there is. So this is really that opportunity to do so. So we'll take any direction that the board would like to provide, or staff will proceed as suggested. We would take the same input from any of our public members or residents here on the island that would want to support us in that endeavor.
Thanks. Well, I do support the effort to clean this up and starting from like doing it as a clean slate instead of trying to just put band-aids on the old ordinance. But
Yeah.
any comments?
As I'm here almost every day on the island and am a tenant and would really like to be a part of this committee.
All right, good.
I also support this cyclical modernization of our ordinances. So it's really important, our rules and regulations, and this is the right place to start. Number 9 is a great place to start off this year. So go.
Yeah, I would encourage, and it sounds like you are, as public a process on this as possible. Let's take our time and get this one right. So there was a suggestion to establish a subcommittee and Sharon Newman volunteered himself.
And alternatively, we could have a liaison like we do for the Port Authority vessel and the fire vessel. We have a single commissioner as a liaison to that. That is an option, but if we had a advisory committee, that's certainly an option as well. Just clarity, in case we don't get any volunteers.
Are we getting any other volunteers?
He just wants to be ahead of the rest. at 6 committees that he's sitting on. You guys are at 5.
Well,
I'm
this
at
won't
4.
be a committee, it'll just be a liaison if it's just.
I can be very liaison.
I mean, I would obviously, and you always keep me informed of any work on, so I would like to
Are
be
you volunteering?
informed and in the loop, but I don't necessarily want to volunteer myself for
Understood.
being a part of the full public process and being on the island every day like Aaron is. But so why don't we make it a liaison?
Okay.
Any comments or questions from the public?
Todd Ranky Marine. We have recently had a major involvement with lawyers. The Clean Water Act was changed, and we've had, as you all know, an individual, a lawyer, that took us to the cleaners on this matter. I'm not a greedy shipyard owner. I am a lot of things. But first and foremost, I am a steward of our environment. I take my position and my career very seriously, and I have for over 3.5 decades, and I've been here almost 10 years. In 10 years, we have seen a lot of things come and go. I'm also the second largest vessel owner in the harbor at 105 feet, and I have a 60-foot sport fisher. So I understand the expense of what these vessels take to keep up and maintain. But with that said, we also have to make sure that we do it in a very responsible manner, which we have not in a very long time. I am held to very high standards. Mike's crew's out there twice a month in direct results to this lawsuit that was given to us, and it was Humboldt Harbor. I'm also named with that. So yeah, part of it is environment. It has nothing to do with financial gains, because the people that do these things don't use our yard anyways. And so it's not that at all. It's being a steward. We are going, and I am really concerned. The scope of what that lawsuit was just in us in the boatyard was staggering, and what was paid was just unbelievable. The outcome of that is we have Mike's crew come out twice a month and inspect my site. To my knowledge, I've never been written up for anything. I keep a very wonderful site. I've been from Maine to New Zealand, shipyards everywhere in the world. I take pride in what we do. I spend an extensive amount of money in keeping the place neat and tidy. I will invite anybody to come down with a fine-tooth comb. I'm out there vacuuming, sweeping all the time. Anyways, what I'm getting at is I'm worried that if this lawyer does what he says he's going to do, I took the time to talk to him. He talked to me. We were the low-hanging fruit. He hit us first. What he's doing with that money is he's funding the future endeavors. Every single person that touches the water in Humboldt County, this gentleman's going to sue us. And every boat. We've got 231 slips, give or take, here in Woodley Island. How many times are we going to be named as litigation? We get these fancy lawyer talk of intent to litigate. He wanted $75,000 to start. He hit us hard. All of us, everybody in this room in this county was hit hard. What I'm worried about, if he comes in again, which he's going to do, we need to get in front of this. We need to get in front of this now. We need to stop these practices, so when they do hit us, we can say, no, we've already stopped this. We've changed this. Because how many more times? 230 times. Can we take that hit? Can the Harbor District take that hit to be named? Every single person that's touching the water, sand in a boat, polluting, whatever it is they're doing, we can't do that. And what I'm worried about is it's going to break the district. We're all going to be gone. Who's going to run it after we're bankrupt? I don't know. But you take 230 times $52,000. Do the math on that. I have employees. I have long-term employees. My commitment to this community is strong. It will devastate us if we get shut down through a bankruptcy because of these lawyers. And I'm not saying all lawyers are bottom feeders, but let's face it, they're doing what they're doing, and they're doing it for money. And if we don't get out in front of this Article 9 or Ordinance 9, it's going to bury us. And this is what we're going to be consumed with if we don't. If we don't get in front of this 9 thing now, we're going to be chasing it. And you guys will be spending all your time in litigation dealing with this. People like me are going to be folding up and gone. I'm almost gone in my career. I'm almost done. There's a lot of people here that have kids and families. This is important that we address this. We get in front of this now. Anything we can do to deal with these lawyers, and this is just one of them. And Thank you for your time. I've taken up more than my time. If I can be of any help to anybody in this room wants to come out and inspect my facility anytime, I welcome them. I want input. I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can. Mike's crew is fantastic. I mean, what we do, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I'm not going to joke, but we've got to get in front of this. And it starts here in this harbor, in these slips with all these boats and all these people. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd.
Uh, Anyone else care to comment on ordinance 9?
Susan Penn. I am a liveaboard, but that's not the point of what I'm about to say. I don't know what all is planned for this. Nobody's told me anything about it, but my one comment in looking at the ordinance and what you do with it, this was written a long time ago, granted. There are things in it that I think are reasonable. They're not being enforced. I think that's part of what Tom had to say, but it covers a lot of other things also. There are some things in there that I think are ridiculous that aren't enforced. So I think you need to either only keep things that you can and will enforce, because it's really annoying for cherry picking enforcement to happen. It's annoying. Change them or get rid of them. You know, like I said, some of the things that are in there don't make sense. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go on in. Please.
Mark Condis, I'm a liveaboard tenant and a diver. Well, I don't dive so much anymore under the boats, but I have been in the past. And so water quality is important to me too. That's why I completely suit up in there. But what I'd like to say is, I mean, I've certainly noticed and come to the harbor district at times when I thought I saw excessive pollution in the water just around the marina. It's a concern for me, so liveaboard as a boat owner and like I say, as a diver and a community member. I just ask the harbor district, the board, everybody gets involved in this. Find a way to have regular monitors done along the docks and have a pathway for even the tenants here on the docks to report things that they notice that they feel like might need some attention. Because it really, I've brought things up to people before around the marina here. I've seen the oil sheens or I've seen other things, and I have no idea if that's followed up on because it's hard to say. And I understand sometimes it's hard to find the boat or the individuals who are causing that particular pollution or, whatever you want to call it. And, but it just seems like I realize it's a big job and it takes more manpower to police it. But I hope we can figure out some means of allowing even the tenants to get involved, report it, and some kind of means of knowing that this stuff is being followed up on and that we're not just wasting our time bringing it up, whether it's to a maintenance worker or to the office or what have you. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for keeping an eye out and report anything that you do see. Any other comments? All right, bringing it back then, is there action on this one, or we just, we receive a report and outline for review and discussion? I guess we've appointed Commissioner Newman as a liaison to this particular ordinance committee, or just, are you now our ordinance liaison forever forward? We'll start with this.
Sounds lofty. I'd just like to say too, I know folks see me all the time on my boat on Sea Dock. Please don't be afraid to let me know what's going on, concerns or chit chat or whatever. I wanna know what's going on and I wanna help. So don't be afraid to hit me up.
Thanks, yeah, and I think there are, I mean, there's always the staff, but if it's after hours and stuff on around, there's hotlines and at least from me talking with Chris, it sounds like staff take reports pretty seriously and follow up on things when there's reports of machines in the water. Sometimes, like you said, it's really hard once it's in the water to identify where it actually came from and what to do about it. But I do believe we respond and deal with issues
Response is very good. I think what I heard this evening is that staff is not following up when reports are done, and I don't, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but I, what action was taken? I heard Mr. Khan just say, I trust that something's being done with it. That sometimes calling someone back and saying, hey, thank you for your report. These are our findings. These are the actions that were taken. It's just closing that gap and creating that rapport. I also heard something tonight about a cherry picking enforcement. That is precisely one of the key goals of the executive staff is to ensure that enforcement is just and is applied equally, and that we're not taking action with some individuals and not others. So very positive comments. I'm not volunteering. Charlie's here somewhere. I'm not volunteering the three of you. Susan already knows she's getting a phone call to participate in it. But for what it's worth, these are our key folks that do call us. They're probably our best communicators. And so their words are taken quite seriously.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for this. Any further discussion or direction? Otherwise, we'll move on to our final item. Adoption of the amended and restated joint powers agreement of the Redwood Region Economic Development Commission.
Well, I just finished a fresh phone call with Greg Foster before I came down for the meeting tonight. This is a procedural matter. So, as discussed earlier by Commissioner Dale, the Harbor District is a member of the Redwood Region Economic Development Commission, and they have a joint powers agreement in which they act. It's time for them to amend and restate it, update it, just as we are doing some of our agreements and our ordinances. So this was brought forth. It was put in the packet for your review. What we're asking for you to do is make a motion to approve and adopt, so we can send it back. We'll ask you to read it by title, so we can send back our vote of confidence to REDEC and our continued participation.
I move to amend and adopt the restated joint powers agreement, but I'm reluctant to make that motion because there's no one here from REDEC to talk to us about it. And I think that's part of Greg Foster's job. He's paid to do that.
You want to read it?
I am.
As a point of order, when I spoke to him tonight, he indicated that you sat through these meetings and that you might be so willing to make those clarifications as may be necessary.
I think as
Maybe it was playful, but
as a representative, you should be able to give us a
I made the
20-minute
motion. I made the
presentation.
motion. I'll discuss.
small sabbatical with Redwood Cap.
Yeah. But no, so this is part of that process is to renew the or to renew all of these agreements with all the member agencies. And I would encourage you to vote yes. And adopting their joint powers agreement.
we are a member agency, and membership, which is defined as any public agency, is defined in the government code, section 6500, which is located wholly or partly within the boundaries of the Humboldt County, of Humboldt County, or any adjacent counties eligible for membership in the commission. The Harbor District, at least in my tenure, has been a member, but I think it's legacy membership. It is important to recognize that REDAC makes loans in areas where sometimes others cannot. They can be very willing and I don't necessarily use the word creative, but they have unique abilities to provide financing. They are a very large investor in local business and getting people up and running. Some of the changes in their agreements center around process, maybe less meetings than what they're currently having, I believe, is one of the changes. The process and the interest they can take in certain agreements. Those are really the fundamental areas that I recognize as a change when I did my review.
And cleaning things up for federal
Process.
funders.
Yeah, that's the interest. Yep.
Yeah, I think, REDEC is one of those organizations that probably most people in this county don't know exists and does a tremendous amount for small businesses and supporting a lot of the small economic engines of this community. So
I would venture to guess that everyone in this room uses a business that uses REDAC at some point in the year. That's how widespread their funding. So we're pretty proud of it.
why are you trying to get off their board? So
I'm not. I'm just saying that other people should benefit from
Yeah.
the ability to be
I'm just giving you a hard time, that's what I do.
Greg, could you, I went through the recitals and it was, very understandable. It's well written. I didn't have big question marks other than this is the 10th time now that this is being amended since 1978. And something that sometimes changes in community are interest groups or new members. Is there anything really new under the sun in terms of membership? Are there people who ought to be listed or recruited as members that are
current
newcomers to the community or new organizations that have surfaced for various reasons?
They're not necessarily new organizations. These are all public entities that have a membership on this board. The one thing that I think has changed is they've got language in it today to allow for membership from potential members outside Humboldt County.
Yeah,
adjacent
Trinity
counties.
and
So, and I think that's good because there's people there that could utilize this. I don't think we've done any loans outside of Humboldt County. Not since I've been on the board, but I believe there's been people approach us for it. Specifically, Del Norte and Prince County. And Mendocino County. So we made that clear in the new joint powers agreement. Anyways, I hope that answered your question.
yeah, it does. I was just thinking like Humboldt Area Foundation, but I guess most of these members are special services district or community services districts, tribes, etc.
We don't currently have any tribes. They've all been invited and they've all, we have
It says Hoopa Valley Tribe is listed
they
as
don't participate, but they've been
part of it.
part of it
Non-participant.
from the very beginning. They're one of the founding members.
Right.
And apparently we don't participate either because I missed the meeting last time.
Okay.
It's a pretty diverse group and it's a very large membership.
It's in my opinion, it's one of the best networking opportunities you have. Because you get to meet everybody on every special district or district in the county. And it's enlightening.
Yeah, I know that there aren't unions or labor hall
No,
members either. It's just
it's all
government entities.
These are public agencies defined by a certain government code.
Yeah. All right. I think I understand it. Membership was my biggest question. It's like who and why.
And they want more membership participation, not less. So I think everybody on the board feels that same.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, our CEA.
They don't have an elected board.
We have, I guess we're a
You're-
joint powers agency, so we have elected members of other.
Oh, it's a read, right?
Yeah. So
Basically,
can you have like a joint?
We are a
power
joint
agency
power.
On a joint power, yeah. How many layers of, and it's also how many different board seats do people want to sit on?
lower our power bill and we'll talk.
Yeah. I wish we could. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Anyone from the audience, from the public care to comment? And I trust, Mindy, you've been keeping an eye on online because I haven't looked up there, so that's your job and you do it well.
Will there be opportunity for public comment and comment off of the subject afterwards?
Yes.
We can make opportunities. So public comment on items not on the agenda was at the beginning of the meeting, but if there's a request, I can open that back up. Because you've been so good about sitting through the meeting. But
Have you traveled from Crescent City?
Yeah, we'll close this item and then if I'm allowed to do that, right? Open up public comment again. So I think we had did we get a motion in a second?
Yes.
On this?
Dale and Commissioner Benson.
I did bring it out to the public and nobody here to comment, so this is just a regular vote, right? So all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
We were not asked for a resolution, but if a resolution is needed, we have time to bring that back at our March meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So it's not we didn't need a roll call vote. All right, at request of the public, I am gonna reopen public comment where members of the public can speak on items not itemized on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. Here it is. Oh, no, of course.
Get a chance to be on
Sorry.
time with email problems, so I'm gonna pass this out to you real quick just to introduce ourselves. I'll be speaks. I don't wanna take up more time.
So, yeah, my name is Jeff Dunlap. I've been a veteran firefighter, a sergeant of security for 10 years, and a first responder. Okay, with me is Michelle Dunlap. She's a retired nurse for 30 years. The problem is Highway 101 is a single point of failure. When it floods and the ground moves, Crescent City, becomes an island, and Humboldt is cut off, as you've seen through the last storms there where it got shut down there down in Fortuna. I mean, that's just our reality up here. So what our company is proposing is a water taxi and a bypass system. States like Washington and New York, they use water taxis as a essential infrastructure. What our company, Seahorse RC, is recommending is an emergency bypass system that Humboldt as well as Delmar needs. By partnering with the emergency systems, we can apply for grants, which is well exceeds what we could use around here. It would keep our harbors dredged, which of course everybody knows a dredged harbor is a happy harbor. It would also create massive revenue and ensure we can withstand quakes, which, everybody says the big one's coming, so just don't know when. This is about making our community safe. We ensure the harbor isn't just a landmark, but a functional lifeline. where we can transport food, fuel, medicines, and even injured and sick. But the problem is the urgency is becoming great. The 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 timeline for the grants are starting to run out.
24.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing 12 days. It's the PIDP grant is in 16 days. We need a partner with the know-how to anchor the funding. What we're asking is for the board to vote to partner with us and allow us to consult with Marissa Janelli. I mean, California business is transparent, so we also want to be too. We aren't local today, but we are available all days, Sundays and every evening for deep dive meetings.
We would like
Uh,
to discuss it further if we can. Anytime Sunday night or any evening after that would be great. Can I take my 3 minutes?
Sure, please, but just understand that we can't take action on any item that wasn't on the agenda, so we can't take a vote or anything today.
So what happened is I sent an email and it didn't go through to you guys. And I found out today that it didn't go through. So I didn't get on the agenda that we tried. I didn't know. But my name is Michelle Dunlap and I'm a co-founder of Seahorse Resilience Command. And I'm here with Jeff. He's like our lead engineer. We may be new to inner workings of the Harbor District, but I'm not new to this coast. We lived in Crescent City for 17 years, and I know exactly what it feels like to drive south on the 101 and hit that last chance grade and silently say a prayer. That road doesn't slide into the ocean while I'm on it. I know you guys do too. We all prayed. We all know that feeling, and we all know that sinking feeling when we hear the 101 is closed and we realize we're suddenly an island up in Crescent City. And this is why we're here. Jeff we gave you the technical specs for our vessels. And I just want to be clear that we're not looking for these boats as just commercial equipment. We're looking for them as a resiliency infrastructure. So when a flood hits, or like we saw the Klamath, or the slide moves again, or the pavement stops when the pavement stops and the supply chain breaks. The shallow draft hydraulic vessels that we're proposing are effective. They're effectively marine ambulances, and they don't need a deep channel. They don't need a perfect dock. And if the 101 washes out, the boats can bypass the slide and land food, fuel, emergency generators, gravel on a gravel beach in king salmon or right up on the flats. So we're offering to build a fleet that works for the offshore wind industry on sunny days, but saves the county on the rainy ones. So we want to integrate with the other projects that you have going and show partnership. And my request to the board is just if we can't build a fleet of if the new terminal is designed only for deep draft ships that can't get near the shore, we need to ensure the engineering plan includes a hardened roll-on, roll-off ramp and shallow water access. So we're formally asking for an invitation to present these specs to your technical advisory committee. And we don't want to just be a tenant. We want to be a partner in keeping the community safe. And please let us know when that meeting is so that we'll be there with you. Anyway, we'll be sending a statement of intent, and we propose to finalize the memorandum of understanding and that we can try to frame some kind of a partnership. We're hoping to do something quickly, and so I'm sorry I know that my emergency isn't yours, but it's hard to lose $2 billion for the whole community. So that's why we're just rushed. We're late. Sorry. Thank you though.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm sure, please coordinate with staff, with communication and needs, and we'll follow up as we're able.
If you'll wait just a few minutes after the meeting, I'll introduce myself to you.
All right, thank you. With that, I'll reclose public comment and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
You,
Well, goodness, person.
Sylvia, Jen, thank you.
Thank you.